It is a Filipino trait to have long memories one has done and a short memories on the good one has accomplished. Even though the person has a great contributions, he is only remembered by the mistakes he had done, just like what happened to the former President Ferdinand Angeline Marcos, when some people forgot about his contributions and didn't agree that he will be buried in the libingan ng mga bayani. Our group believes that he is worth to be buried in the libingan ng mga bayani because of his remarkable contributions in the country before he became the president and when he became one. Some people, especially the so-called victims of the martial law, couldn't appreciate the president and everything that he did for his country, when actually his strong personality made him to implement strict regulations on his 2 decades of serving the Filipino people. For us, we perceived him like a father that tries to instill discipline on his children that misbehave so that he can obtain peacefulness. We see him as a person that stands as a father to our country. Yes, he implemented martial law, but for what reason? For us, it was a call for emergency so that he can obtain peacefulness in our country, because there were civil disobedience and political adversaries that was especially manifested when there were bombings in the Plaza Miranda during the meeting the avance of the Liberal Party on August 21, 1971. We cannot blame President Marcos for declaring martial law because it was his way to restore discipline and to obtain a peace of mind so that he can attain all his good plans for the Filipino people. The same manner when President Duterte implemented laws so that he can obtain peace, unity, and prosperity in our country. He deserved to be buried in the libingan ng mga bayani because according to our law, which is the Republic Act number 289, it states that all the presidents of the Philippines are and should be entered at the national pantheon. It should be constructed to perpetuate the memories of all the presidents of the Philippines, the national heroes, and the patriots for the inspiration and emulation of this generation and for the future generation. The president, whether good or bad, is entitled to be buried in the libingan ng mga bayani. Apart from being the former president, Ferdinand Marcos, according to the Department of the National Defense, was also elected as the 14th Secretary of the National Defense, serving the country from December 31, 1965 to January 20, 1967. He was a former soldier, a recipient of the Medal of Honor, and a World War II veteran who allegedly served as a valiant guerrilla and a leader of a Filipino resistance movement during the Japanese occupation of the former U.S. colony. President Ferdinand Marcos had many achievements during his time as a president, for he had a vision for the Philippines. This country can be great again, and he set out to make that vision a reality by establishing excellent facilities that supports cultural and arts, education, agriculture, economy, and environment, in which until now Filipino people still benefits from it. According to an individual who had a personal encounter with the president in 1975 in a report in the Manila Times, infrastructure development is one of the comprehensive achievements of the Marcos administration. One of the infrastructures that turned out to be outstanding is the Philippine International Convention Centers that was established on September 5, 1976. It became the Asia's first international convention centers, and it has established itself as one of the versatile convention centers in the Asia Pacific. Moreover, President Marcos also had contributions in school facilities, and one of it is the successful conversion of the Technological University of the Philippines, in which 8 million students benefits from it. President Marcos also developed a community irrigation systems where agricultural activities thrived, and it is used to cover large areas of rice and food production region by increasing agricultural activities in the major islands in Visayas and Mindanao. According to the Philippine Official Gazette, during his third State of the Nation address, President Ferdinand Marcos described his accomplishments as historic breakthroughs for the Filipino people and their lives. The Foreign Agricultural Economic reports imposed that the Philippines' food security spans from 1968 to 1969, in which the national average rice yield was less than 1 crop per hectare. The Philippines imported about 500,000 tons of wheat per year to supplement the domestically produced rice and corn. He built the IRRI, or also known as the International Rice Research Institute and transform the country into a #1 rice-producing country in Asia and give new hope to malnourished and hungry people in the Asia and other parts of the world. No country has ever embraced the high-yielding varieties developed by the IRRI more enthusiastically than the Philippines. He also established a total of 20 power plants in the country in which it can greatly help the country's economy and environment. These power plants can generate energy with no greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuels, and it can help people to save money and can mitigate climate impact, which is believed to have cost $240 billion per year. Truly, President Marcos deserves honor because of his intelligence that thinks not only for the people but for the future of the country. Marcos should be judged in his totality as a president. While he is not all good, he is not pure evil either. Just like humans, he erred like us. Lucas Bersamin, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, reaffirmed the 5 key reasons why the Supreme Court dismissed the petition filed by the anti-Marcos parties such as: Number 1, President Duterte as Chief Executive has the power to exercise such as care and control the AFP Chief of Staff, and there is no such law that prohibits the burial of Marcos remains at the libingan ng mga bayani. Number 2, the President is powered under the Administrative Code to reserve a cemetery plot for Marcos until a law is passed stating otherwise. Number 3, Marcos remains under the regulation of the Armed Forces of the Philippines can be entered at the libingan ng mga bayani because he was a former president, commander-in-chief, a soldier, a Medal of Valor awardee, and a legislator. Number 4, the AFP's legal basis for the disqualifications of Marcos burial at the Heroes Cemetery, such as the dishonorable discharge from military service and a conviction of an offense that involves moral turpitude, do not apply to Marcos' historical records. And number 5, Marcos cannot be disqualified from the burial of the libingan ng mga bayani because he was not convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude, and cases cited were all civil in nature. In general, Marcos' outstanding contributions to the country is for the sake of the Filipino people and not for himself. He was able to execute a higher level of accomplishments in uplifting the nation's economic conditions. Thus, President Ferdinand Edrolin Marcos is indeed the best president of the Philippines and is worthy to be buried at the libingan ng mga bayani.